Hello, everybody. So this is the election prediction for October. Well, we're only a little bit away from the election. The election will take place on November 8th, so we are 1 month and 5 days away. Yay. So I'm gonna probably upload more frequently in these last few months. Hopefully I can get the predictions on tact, as I don't have a very good track history on that. Though 2020, I was kind of accurate, except I didn't start the channel yet, so that doesn't really count. But okay. Several safe states for Democrats. States over 15%. If you want me to change it, I can. Just tell me what margins you want. I'm personally leaning towards 20%. For safe, 10% for likely, and then lean and tilt stay the same. So anyway, these are the safe states over 15. Uh, Illinois, the Republican won in 2010. No, the Republicans aren't gonna win again. There's no way. No way. And then New York, Chuck Schumer, majority leader. He won by quite a lot in 2016, but I don't think he's gonna do that again. Vermont, there was that one Trafalgar poll that had him up by 7. Um, Peter Welch over Gerald Malloy, but that's unrealistic. For the safe states for the Republicans, these are also states over 15%. Uh, not Georgia. If it was like 2016, maybe, but no, not anymore. Unfortunately for the Republicans, we're to see how the race has changed over so much time. Uh, Missouri, I think it's a Trump plus 15 state. Eric Schmidt and Vicky Hartzler would have been the best nominees. They got Eric Schmidt instead, which I think is a good look. So I think the GOP is going to win the safe, despite but if you actually take a look at Missouri polls, Schmidt is only up by 11, but it's a Trump plus it's a Trump plus 15 state, and I think Schmidt will do pretty well. Considering the fact that okay, there are so many undecideds. Trudy Bush Valentine can crack 40%. Schmidt is only like 1.5% away from 50. The election's coming closer. I think he wins it safe. Uh, Iowa, I think it's gonna be safe because Chuck in 2016 he won by like 25 almost, I believe. Uh, and only even though polls are like this, I don't think that Seltzer and Co.'s 8-point margin is at all realistic. I think maybe somewhere like 16, 15 would have been more realistic. Because it's Iowa. I think Kim Reynolds, surprisingly, was going to help Chuck Grassley, despite asking me a few months ago, I probably would have said the exact opposite. But I think it's going to happen. And GOP is going to win Iowa safe, but narrower than they usually do. So now let's see likely states. Washington. Patty Murray. Uh, she's in a semi good spot. She's not in the best possible spot she could be in. In the polls, she hasn't led by over 15. She hasn't reached she's only leading by single digits and hasn't reached she's barely reached 50%. Polls are all over the place. Like McLaughlin and Associates is one of the most Republican pollsters, and John Jordan sponsoring has a +6. Tiffany Smiley's own internal had it up by 5. Then Trafalgar had Murray up by 2 and 3. So that might, on the surface, that might seem like a semi good look for the Republicans. They could probably bring it below 10. but in the primary vote, you could actually look. Oh, okay, let's first look about 2010. If you look at 2010, well, actually 2016, 18, nothing really to talk about. 2010, she only won by 4.7, despite the Republicans actually winning the blanket primary vote. So that, and considering the fact that in the Republicans, they in Washington, Patty Murray won it outright. So she actually won 52% of the vote. So that's not really the best look. I like how there's a party called Trump Republican, JFK Republican. Just something I want to talk about. So that's that. Let's see. Next state, Colorado. Nothing really to talk about. Joe O'Dea is a good candidate. He's just not running a good campaign. He is trying to appeal to Denver suburbanites who probably won't vote for him anyway, instead of Trump Republicans, which, I mean, Trump Republicans are the minority in Colorado, but still, you don't want to lose a giant portion of the base. Hopefully, just let me go, but if I know, like, Bennett, Michael Bennett was he was assigned to the U.S. Senate in 2009. Won the election in 2010, narrowly. Won in 2016, and probably will 2020, despite him probably not getting to the majority. He'll just win by a plurality, like he always does, in my opinion. Because this poll did have it was a oh well, no, I don't want to go there. So anyway, yeah, that's that. O'Dea, yeah. New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire will be likely because if you actually look at the polling data from New Hampshire, the GOP is losing the race by 7.5%. Don Bolduc has not led in a single poll, and the only poll the Republicans have won is this one poll that had Chuck Norris up in April. Yeah, Hassan plus 13, 8, 8, 11 by Emerson. But yeah, that's not a really good sign. The GOP lost their dream candidate, Chris Sununu, and he actually confirmed he did not want to run for Senate. He does not regret that decision at all. Anyway, let's go for the Republicans' likely states. Utah. So in Utah, I don't think Utah has a polling aggregate. If they did, that'd be better. So we just have to individually analyze the poll. So Evan McMullin. So what happened was Democrats decided not to run a candidate. So instead, they decided to run Evan McMullin, independent, and they endorsed him. So a lot of Democrats are going to vote for him, and there's some moderate Republicans who don't really like Lee because he's Trump endorsed. So let's look at some warning signs. This Mike Lee internal had him up by 19, by 14, and by 18. That is not the best safe look for him. Is considering Trump only won the state by 20, not the best look. And this National Republican Senate Commission, I think it's either commission or committee, I'm confused, only had him up by 17. And then Evan McMullin's own internal had him up by 1. These three polls, Dan Jones and Associates, oh, oops. I mean, so, and the fact is, Mike Lee has only won the majority in one poll, so I don't think this is the best look for him, which is why it's going to be likely. Florida, okay, Florida polls, they're not the best, not the best. DeSantis is, oh no, that's governor poll. Florida, Marco Rubio is only winning by 4.5, which is kind of concerning. But other than that, Rubio has not been too bad in the polls. There are some polls that have him under by 5. He probably is not gonna. He's gonna probably win by 5 or 6, not like the 8-point margin he won by last time. But he's still gonna win. Val Demings is a good candidate, just not the right state. She ran somewhere like North Carolina or Georgia, she'd probably win, unless she's facing Ted Butterby in Kemp. Spoilers. I know. Okay, that's it. I could be tempted to move Wisconsin into the likely column, but just out of caution, I'm not, despite the fact that he's leading by 2 in the polls, which might not seem like a good look, but Wisconsin polls are notoriously known to underestimate Ron Johnson. So, just want to say it's not the best look. So I think he's going to win by 3 to 4. Speaking of 3 to 4, let's move on to the lean states. Oh, I also forgot Arizona. Sorry, my home state. A lot of talk about that. Somehow, Florida is more competitive than Arizona. Iowa is the same. Iowa is barely more Republican than Arizona is Democrat, despite Arizona only going for Biden by like what 0.3. So, okay, let's talk about why. So, okay, I admit, Blake Masters is not in the worst place he's ever been. These 2 polls, Trafalgar and Data for Progress, both had it within 1, but I mean, they do overestimate Democrats a lot. And then Trafalgar, we're not taking Trafalgar. They're notoriously inaccurate. Especially in Arizona. Predicted a Trump +3 and Trump +4. That did not happen. So, anyway, but Blake Masters is going to bleed with independents, moderate Republicans. He's definitely not winning the Democrat vote. And then his controversial, he's a flip-flopper on abortion, so that's probably not the best look for him. And he's not a good candidate. If it's like Brnovich or Lamon or even Doug Ducey, I could have seen a pathway to victory. Other than that, and plus Kelly's a really good incumbent. Many people like to say, "Oh, the moderate astronaut thing's a lie. He votes with Biden like 100% of the time." Marco Rubio votes with Trump a lot. Does that mean, in Florida? I mean, he didn't really campaign on it, but still, people like him. Okay, I can speak. People actually like Mark Kelly in this state. And if you're saying no, they don't, you're probably a Trump Republican or somebody who just hates him. I know some Republicans who actually like him, so yeah. Okay, let's go on to the lean states. These states actually have a chance of flipping. Not that Arizona and New Hampshire and Colorado and Washington and Florida don't and so don't, but these states are like way more likely. Let's start with the first Democrat lean states. Pennsylvania, that's it though. If you asked me a few months ago, I would have said likely, but Dr. Oz is narrowing the gap. He hasn't led in a poll yet, but these last few polls only have him up by less than 5. He's been doing better on the 538 like forecast. If you look in the Senate, so actually let's go. So for a while before the primary actually concluded, the Republicans had 65% chance of winning this race because this is a Republican-held race, and then the margin just steadily kept going up. At the peak, it was like 83. Now it's 76-24. I bet by tomorrow, the state, or 2 days from now, the state will be lean instead of likely. And Oz is not the best candidate. I think Mastriano could help him with the Trump base, but other than that, not gonna win. It's gonna be close. So Democrats get their first slip of the night. Okay, let's start with the leading Republican states. They have quite a few. Wisconsin, Ohio, North Carolina, and Alaska. Now the Republicans need to win both these states in order to win. Because of Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, so let's start with Wisconsin. Like I said, it's probably going to be like 4-5. I feel tempted to move it to likely, considering that Johnson's winning by 2, even though polls underestimate him. Mandela Barnes he's like a far left progressive in a state that voted for Trump 2016 and almost voted for him in 2020. Not the best look for Barnes. And then Johnson's an election denier who has some very controversial statements about everything. Lead R says a lot about this country. Okay, so for those of you who are wondering why I put Ohio as lean, I want you all to repeat after me. Polls in Ohio are very inaccurate and very biased to Democrats. Okay, so let's see. Okay, for starters, if Ryan's only winning by 0.2, when what's his name? Richard Cordray was winning by quite a lot now, and then lost his race. So polls in Ohio are notoriously inaccurate in favor of Democrats. And if he's only winning by 0.6, that's a problem. Nobody ever notices that for some reason. Plus, it's a Trump plus 8 state. I don't think Vance is gonna win by as much as 8, but I don't think it's gonna be a Democrat flip. Now let's go to North Carolina. So North Carolina, it looks like the Democrats can win it, but it's like a red Nevada. It always seems like Democrats can come like really close, like are probably gonna win it, but then their all hopes and dreams get crushed down when they don't win it. So the Republicans are running Ted Budd. He's like a generic Republican. He was Trump endorsed. We can get basically every Republican. A lot of people are saying every Republican likes Ted Budd, and I would somewhat agree to that. He's not like a super far right extremist election denier, but he's not like a liberal neocon, as they like to say. He'll appeal to both. And then Sherry Beasley is she's a pretty good challenger. If she was like if it was like against Pat McCrory, I think Beasley would have a very good chance of winning. And Cherry Beasley actually served on a North Carolina Supreme Court until 2020, where she lost. Barely, but she still lost. So she outperformed Biden, but she still lost. Anyway, Democrats have not held the Senate seat in North Carolina till all the way back in 2008, a blue wave. Before that was all the way back in 1998. So in Alaska. So if you asked me before, I would have said Alaska's safe Republican. Now I say lean Republican, not because the Republicans are going to lose this race. It's because of a system in Alaska called ranked choice voting. So basically what happens is there are 4 candidates running. If I can remember it correctly without help. Buzz Kelly, Patricia Cheesebro, I think I'm getting something confused, but I can go check. Pretty sure it's Shabaka, Kelly, Markowski, Cheesebro. See, No, yeah, I was right. Kelly Shibaka has a 53% chance in this. I don't buy it, like, at all, considering the fact that in this system, Democrats are probably going to prefer Murkowski over Shibaka, so they're probably going to vote for Murkowski instead of just staying home and not ranking. So I think that's what's going to help Murkowski. On the light model, Shibaka still wins on the light model. She wins by the same no matter what, which is kind of funny. So, okay, let's go to the next state. Let's start with child Democrat states. I think Georgia. I think Brian Kemp is definitely gonna help Raphael Warnock. I mean Herschel Walker. No, what that came from. Never mind. So this race is I think this race is gonna go to a runoff. I think Walker is gonna win in the outright vote, but I think he's gonna lose in the runoff. In the runoff, it's because Raphael Warnock is probably okay. Brian Kemp won't be there, so that's probably not going to be the most helpful thing. And other than that, Herschel Walker, he's not a good candidate. I get football season starting. I guess this race could become a little closer because of that for some reason, but yeah, it's definitely going to run off. That's all I can say. A lot of polls have Warnock up by unrealistic margins. Quinnipiac. Um, so yeah, with that, Democrats take control of the Senate. Now there is one more race I want to talk about, Nevada. So if we take a look at Nevada, the Republicans are leading the polling aggregate by 1 point. They have led in 5 of the last 5 polls and 6 out of the last 8 polls. I believe that is because every single one of these polls has, okay, I'm only going to take these polls because they're more closer to the election. They're all likely voter polls. Anyway, so for those of you saying, oh, the polls in Nevada are super inaccurate. Okay, let's take a look at 2018. Oh, okay, that they don't have a polling aggregate. So I guess we're going to RCP. I'll see you. Nevada 2018. So if we take a look here, yes, the RCP average had Gina Heller and Jackie Rosen tie, but take a look at these margins. It's the undecideds that really break out for the Democrats in this race, because Gene Heller remained at his margin. It's just Jackie Rosen who did better, and trust me, it's the same thing. It's the same thing on the governor's race and even in 2010. But if you look at here now, okay, so there's 2 possible scenarios. One, almost every undecided votes for if every undecided votes for Catherine Cortez Masto, that is very unrealistic. If Catherine Cortez Masto improves in the polls by similar to what Jackie Rosen and Steve Sisolak did and Harry Reid, that would translate to like 5-6 point margins, or the amount of independents and like third parties who vote would probably be like way too many. So because of that, I think Nevada goes to Republican. Republicans are doing better in these races. So 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats. Democrats flipping Pennsylvania, Republicans flipping Nevada. But overall, Democrats still win the Senate because of Vice President Kamala Harris. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Bye.